What's up, hoops?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to join. And I really appreciate your perspective in terms of how you approach the debate. So, my first question is you talked about various types of petroleum based fuels. Um,
hmm
Help educate me. Do you know what those are? Can you name one, two, maybe three?
Petroleum-based fuels? Are
Yeah,
you
so
talking
you
about?
say,
You talking about the byproduct?
yes. I think that's what you
There's
were
diesel. There's
referencing.
gasoline. There's diesel, gasoline. There's
Okay,
airplane fuel.
Kerosene.
It depends. Yeah, the weight of it is how it offshoots in the refinery.
okay. Um, so one of my debates would be that the OPEC Plus deal that Donald Trump signed in 2020, although we could debate the length of it, was actually brilliant. And I will follow up with saying I think what Joe Biden did in his administration was brilliant following. But the one thing that he did do is obviously petroleum or Brent Brent's crude oil was trading at an unsustainable level, so that had to stop. I heard a moan. Does somebody want to interrupt
What?
me?
No, I'm just sick.
Okay. Um,
If you're
but what he
no,
did
I'm
ensure,
kidding.
what he did ensure was
I
that
like to joke.
it would trade at the dollar globally,
Yeah.
and
hmm
the debate in terms of the Democratic side is we are drilling more than we ever did. But do you realize that 34% of what is being drilled is actually being sold? Which again, I think was brilliant on Joe Biden's part because it brought revenue in, frankly, to pay for a lot of the support that we've given to Ukraine, Israel, um, other areas. So I'd just be curious in terms of your opinion from that perspective.
So I've maintained that the OPEC Plus deal is a bad deal, not because it needed to happen, but because it was a 2 year deal.
I
And
can't
we don't
argue that,
know, but I
but
would
argue.
suspect that it was a 2 year
Silence.
deal because of Donald Trump's previous missteps.
See, I debate that. I think it was because he couldn't get the deal done without giving the 2 years.
And I think that's because he kept going back to Saudi Arabia to try to get them to either lower the amount of fuel they're producing or increase. So if they're coming back every year being like, do this, then they're going to get a little irritated.
But do you agree that it was beneficial that it still continued to be traded at the dollar versus other currencies?
It's never, that wasn't part of OPEC. Like obviously it was going to. I don't know if that included Russian oil, but something like 87% of oil globally is still traded in the dollar and has been even before OPEC.
Well, but they did try to change that currency, and that was Russia, China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. I believe there may have been a
There are
couple of
some that are traded like to try and because there's sanctions or because it's easier for said country because that's what they have available in terms of currency, but typically speaking, no. It's usually
So how do
traded
you
in
feel about the
USD. Like I
fact
said,
that
about 80, 87, 88%.
so how do you feel about the fact that we are selling more globally than we're actually utilizing to provide energy into our own country?
That's because we don't need the energy. That's why we
Whoa,
sell it.
whoa, 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 whoa. So then we're worried about the tariffs that are being put on Canada and that they're going to shut off energy to the northern
Yes,
states, which in fact they cannot do
because they
because they have to build an infrastructure outside of where they're supplying the oil now.
Canada, what? They produce a lot of oil that they ship here for
Well,
refinement.
Canada cannot just go and sell it somewhere else without an infrastructure to do it.
Correct. They have to sell it to
So,
us.
in reality, to the point you just tried to make, the threat that Canada is going to shut off Michigan, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, um, it's not valid.
They could. They would just not sell it to anyone.
So then what are they going to do with it?
Nothing.
Yeah, so exactly. So they sit on it and make no money?
Yeah.
Okay. If you think that's a good
It's a
financial,
bargaining chip.
But I don't think that that would be like their go-to. I think it would be tariffs first.
I mean,
I
I
think this would be
agree
like
that.
what do they call a tariff? That's an export tax. It's just an export tax. I can't remember what they call it.
So it's actually a border tax. It's exchanging it from their border to ours. And then there is a tax in terms of the trade itself. So to cross the border, there are certain agreements, and it's a matter of who actually owns it at the point of entry.
Anyway, I don't understand. What's your argument?
Well, my argument is that you all are threatening that they're going to cut it off, and they can. I can't dispute that. But the fact of the matter is then they sit on it and make no money. And I mean, how does
I don't
that
think
benefit?
I don't think I've ever addressed in any serious way Canada actually shutting oil off.
Okay, fair
And
enough.
I'm not Canadian.
I appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about tariffs, if I may, please.
Okay.
So what is your position on the global warming issues, pollution, low labor costs, child labor
Is there a way to
issues?
simplify this question? Because those are all broad,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
vastly different topics.
China is the number one polluter globally in many different ways. I can break that down for you if you'd like.
Please don't. No, we're good.
They have poor labor
Tiana,
laws.
appreciate it. Thank you for the sub over on
And
Twitch. Thank you.
So, in essence, do we want to continue to support products that come into our nation? We most likely have to replace in 2 to 3, say a 5-year span, versus bringing that back to the United States. And yes, in fact, there is infrastructure to do that.
There's not. But what's the argument that the quality would be better?
Well, I think, Frank, I mean, you make a good point. I would like to think that American made would be more beneficial, and they would make better quality products at better wages. So we're going to employ more Americans.
Is this
So
rooted in
tariffs
anything,
actually
or-
yeah, I don't what's the argument?
So the argument is do we support a number one polluter to the globe versus trying to despair them and make them correct their ways, as opposed to putting more American workers at work and hopefully making better quality products. I
These
cannot.
tariffs are not contingent on China's climate policy. And
Well,
I think
but
that
it's
should
better.
be indicative of the fact that we're worsening ours at the same step.
And how are we doing that?
We just pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. He's rolling back initiatives on the EV mandate and other policies pertaining to solar, thermal, and other renewable energies.
So do you know the
By the
percentage
way,
of
if you guys are
vehicles?
I don't know. I don't care.
Do you know the percentage
If you
of
guys are
No!
opposition,
No, shut up.
please
Stop
hop
talking,
in.
I'm bored.
Please hop in the
ahead.
box.
Can we move on?
I don't know what the debate is. Nutcracker, appreciate it. In Canada, crude oil is exported by tanker from the west and east coast, exported from Burnaby, BC, and are shipped to Asia and the U.S. West Coast. That's true. 98% of Canadian oil comes to the United States, though. 98% of all Canadian oil comes to the United States. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem like you're making an argument. Sorry, someone hit you with a mute. It doesn't seem like you're making an argument, though, Jedi. I appreciate it for the 10 in the kick pool. Can we get some dubs and drumsticks in the chat? And Nutcracker, appreciate it, dubs. Jedi, I appreciate it for the member. Thanks for being there for us. You're welcome. I do my best.
Gentlemen, I'm not trying to argue in any way, shape, or form. I respect, frankly, your approach. And my frustration is I think I'm bringing valid points up, and they just get discounted because, frankly, they're
I don't
educated.
know what valid points you're bringing up.
Okay, so Donald Trump signed the OPEC Plus agreement. We can argue over the time frames, but it guaranteed that it was
He
going
needed
to
to
be.
do something. He needed to do something, but a 2-year deal is fucking nuts.
And I'm not going to dispute that. I do think that it probably, for him to get what he did done, it was what he had to. I mean, it's give and take in any negotiation, if you understand negotiation skills. Each side has a BATNA. Do you know what a BATNA is?
Yep.
Right, but we experience
what's a BATNA
incredibly
doing?
expensive oil. Sorry.
Jaden, what's a BATNA?
Best alternative to negotiate agreements.
Amen. And
Happy? Do I win something? Do I get a lollipop?
And you understand anchors as
Shut
well?
up. Fuck off. I'm bored. Bad enough.
I don't know. It's not really a debate,
Pretentiousness.
and we're kind of bleeding viewership, so we're just going to move on. I don't know what's going on. It's very condescending. So anyways,